If our Indigenous women are doing that to start exploring their identity and their comfort levels of knowing themselves and what they're comfortable representing themselves as in that moment, if it's for a night at a gala or a school event, to me, if you are comfortable, if they're learning to take that pride, even if it's for a half day, to me that's great. If it goes away and they still have their own journeys to face and aren't ready, they aren't ready, but if they are ready for that night, if they are, we can't, if they, again, like going back to my own self-identity, I was prepared and ready at that time to be a Nukbak and my own self all the time. And I understand that healing journey is no joke. It's hard. You have to overcome so much trauma and healing to be really comfortable with your own self, with the things that our community members have faced. And I don't judge not being fully ready. And if you have that pride and feel comfortable, especially if you're surrounded by your community members at cool events, So I am happy to see it. That doesn't bother me at all because I respect people for wherever they're at, and if that helps instill their pride and confidence in the future, that's part of the little piece, a little puzzle piece to their own way. Maybe they will never get there. That's okay too, and maybe that was the beginning of them being comfortable with seeing how people react with it on their face. That's great,
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm pretty open to that.
Are your tattoos specific to Cosby area?
No, Although, speaking, so there's some debate.
Okay.
Because how many generations can we go back?
Right.
And have proof?
Mm-hmm.
If we look at drawings from 1900, which is not that many generations, right? My tata was alive, 1918. Yeah. So that's like what,
two or three?
Yeah, 2 or 3 generations. That's what we have proof of. That's what we have drawings and photographic proof of. Before then, we got nothing because who was there but us?
Yeah, right.
Right. So I've been working with Jeff Rassick. He's an archaeologist with the Park Service. Mm-hmm. And normally I don't like archaeologists because they always tell you what they think and blah, 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 and they know everything. But Jeff is amazing. He is earnestly interested in what we think is modern people and what we think is Inuit people. And he studies our, Kotzebue area. I really like him. And the tools and stuff that he's found and the evidence of masks with facial tattoos going back like 10,000 years had way more tattoos all in our whole area than we like to give credit for. Wow. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We like to think that that 1900 on is our past. The evidence on is our past, but our evidence goes back thousands of years before that.
Right.
And if they were tattooing as much as evidence hints at, these designs, these many designs, were universal amongst all of us. And as families separated or branched off, things changed for them. In Kotzebue by 1900, most of the women had the thick line in the middle and 2 thin lines on the side, which is kind of the whole Northwest Arctic.
With the study and revitalization movement of traditional Inuit tattoos has come various forms of coverage of Inuit tattoos. Here, Holly explains a recent case of cultural appropriation.
We had a thing in Greenland where a white artist, Danish white artist, put the markings are traditional markings on her face, photographed herself, and then put it in a show. And it was a real prestigious gallery that showed this show. Mm-hmm. And we didn't hear about it until months later, and she had sold work and benefited from our designs on her face. Oh. So we were all blasting her. Like, who do you think you are? You're appropriating. And there were lots of arguments from white people. Appropriate. She's an artist. She can do what she wants. And, I mean, it's just the stupidest thing to say.
Right.
It's the stupidest thing to say. You can't. There's so many examples where we can't do that to white people, where we don't even dare. It's not even a question.
Right.
And all we're asking for is a few things. Like, we have given up so much that those few little things that we have,
You can't.
you can't just take them.
Yep.
And we've been calling her on it. The gallery ended up, there's so many Inuk women from Canada, Greenland, and here blasted the gallery that they took down her show. They took down any evidence that she was ever there. They apologized. They're having an Inuk show there. So, and I think she ended up getting off social media, the artist herself, because she was trying to fight it. And she was just being blasted. It was really cool that that has shifted now. And now we're all, even though we have our personal differences, in the Inuit tattoo world, that together we were one voice. And
If Native people call out others for appropriating Inuit culture, we also have to hold ourselves accountable in the same respect.
then we went to an all Indigenous tattoo conference, and what we think is tribal tattoos isn't tribal at all. It is some American's version of what Polynesian tattoos are. So it's appropriating their tattoos and making it American. Two guys from my region, one from Shishmaref and one from Kayana, came in and they wanted tribal, and I was like, you boys! Don't do it! No! I was like, no! And I was like, I can't say no. They're here.
Oh my gosh.
It was real hard. And it's about education.
Oh man, yeah.
It's about education. And we're not even telling our own people that we can celebrate, even if we do research and just use artifacts for male tattoos. There's some amazing things out there. Amazing.
I asked Holly and Charlene if traditional Inuit tattooing was only practiced on women, by women, for women, because much of the anthropological evidence suggests that, but Holly and Charlene encourage men to reconnect with their culture in whatever ways they feel comfortable.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're using sinew and the seal oil lamp. So women sewed for the whole community, their whole family, right? That was our job, is to do the sewing. And these were all sewn-in tattoos, so it only makes sense that the women knew what they were doing as far as that goes. Skin stitching.
Right.
And then another artifact is that the seal with two holes on it, and it was on a kayak or a umiak, and it held a harpoon. You could wrap your twine or whatever, and then have your harpoon lay on top of it. And so I tattooed that for my brother, and he's like, I'm gonna carve one and put it on on my boat, and then I'm gonna put one on my snow machine or whatever. And it just makes him, it's from our region, and it just makes him feel connected. And then he can go as far with that as he wants to. But it's a nice way to have them connect.
From what I understand, those spaces of speaking to the other gender's place on that is, there's boundaries to that. And I was I can only share what I know. Anyhow, a contemporary way of using tattoos, just as anyone, just how tattoos are today. But anyhow, I've seen men with their Quaq designs on their shins and their family patterns on their arms or whales on their back and those are all Inupiaq men tattoos that I think are important, but very different than I feel the women's ceremonies were, right? Serve a different purpose, and they have a different place today than the ways that Inupiaq women's tattooing is being revitalized. But I honor that space, and I think it's good for men to have that way of representing themselves and reclaiming their identity too today. Yeah. It just is different.
Here, Charlene shares some other forms of traditional tattoos that she has been learning about.
And the first ones I learned about wasn't Tavlagon. It was the 5 birthing ones. And, again, for rites of passage and women. And it's so beautiful. Our thigh tattoos, I came to learn that was a way that we welcome babies into the world, and the first thing they would see was something beautiful, and they would know who we are, who they were, by looking at those and knowing and seeing that, and that welcomed them into our world and our place and their place of belonging. And that is just like, it's still so beautiful to me. It like blows my mind. And like, I'm gonna name drop Marge Kunok because she has the most beautiful thigh tattoos, and I'm just so excited for her baby to be welcomed with, like, to me that's just so powerful. Like, it makes me want to cry. I've been involved with doulaing and Indigenous midwifery and birthing groups here. So besides being a super nerd and being really researchy, I'm really highly intuitive. I've sought guidance from different members in our community on experiences I've had viscerally, visions and different things like that, and trying to purpose them and understand how that is supposed to serve others. I'm learning to be responsible for those gifts. And so part of that is in a healing space, and oftentimes I am called upon in death. Like, there's a lot of really dark things, and we won't go there, but part of that, the opposite of that, is also birth in life. And more recently, in the last 2 years, I've been asked to be present for birthing and those kinds of practices, and I'm starting to learn more about that, and yeah, I'm being mentored and asked to be there for community members during birth, which is really amazing.
That's cool.
And not because I'm not trained as a midwife. I'm just a very I'm an informal doula. You know, I'm calm during those situations. I love birth. I love all of that, and because of those experiences and the women I've been able to meet and connect with and all those wonderful things, I felt ready to ask for my birthing tattoos, right? So full circle back to what I originally wanted, and the time is right, and like, you go through certain things in your life to be prepared for these things, just as our ceremonies are set up to be. And so I asked Marge recently if we could revisit and me having my thigh tattoos, and she said sure, and I said, but no hurry, she is a full belly right now. And I said, I believe in right timing, so whenever is good for both of us, let's revisit. And she's willing to, so that makes me happy. That's somewhere in my future. And I feel good about it because I've come to know more about birthing and our Indigenous birthing practices. Mm-hmm. And again, like, I thought I was ready a long time ago for those, and I truly wasn't. I had no idea. And then after learning this new space of life, I felt ready, and so I asked about that. And closely related to that is the hands ones. I do energy work, and I am learning to understand, again, like, all the gifts that come with that. And part of that is very much literally like what my hands do, and understanding, going through those different, I guess, the English words, like dimensions, going through those different dimensions, and connecting with ancestors, and working on others with my hands. I feel ready for my hand tattoos, and so I asked a different Inuit woman, Jamie, a truck, about if she, and I asked them, I asked them in a way that if they'd be willing to go through that ceremony with me, because it is a ceremony. If they, and if they don't feel they know me well enough or know my story, that's fine, And I told her the same thing, whenever the timing is right. But I feel ready just because of the other kind of journeys I've been on in kind of like a healer capacity. Mm-hmm. And my hands and the experiences I've had with them, and the gifts that they bring me, and the connection I'm able to have with others in our community is like literally with my hands. And to me, and I don't know very much about our hand ones actually,